Thank you for watching. This is Full of Bull episode number 7. So you might have seen on the channel and on my social media that I have put up Money Master the Game by Tony Robbins. This is a book that I highly recommend that anybody who is concerned about their financial future reads. I learned a lot of insights and a whole different way to look at my cash investments. So I highly recommend it. He did interviews with some of the richest and most successful people literally on the planet in different walks of life, primarily the financial industry. And some of the insight he got was fantastic. Some of my big takeaways was regarding asset allocation. And there's the saying that there's no such thing as a free lunch. And some of these finance guys have looked at asset allocation as the potential only free lunch because it doesn't cost you anything. And really what that means is traditionally we think of stocks and bonds, and they're a lot of these guys are going beyond just stocks and bonds, and they're looking at what Tony Robbins calls the all-weather investment portfolio, which essentially is that no matter what the economy is, that a portion of your portfolio is going to be doing well because it kind of counterbalances other portions. So he calls them the 4 seasons, and no matter what season it is, one of your portion of your portfolio is going to be succeeding. And what they advise is that while that portion is succeeding, is growing, well, what do you want to do? You want to liquidate some of the portfolio that has grown, realize some of those profits, and reinvest those profits into the part of your portfolio that has dropped. Because obviously you want to buy when the price is low and you want to sell when the price is high. And the reality is that most people investing, whether it be their 401k or whether it be them investing on their own with like a Ameritrade account or I use Robinhood as well, that most people are buying, they get excited about buying stocks or buying whatever it is when it's going up, when really that's the time you don't want to buy anything, right? And it kind of really explains and it helps to understand why. And so it talks about reallocating, rebalancing your portfolio. It's a long read. I listened to it on Audible, but it's well worth it. And have your notepad ready because there's a lot of good information in there. And Tony Robbins is a salesperson, so he does push some financial resources that he either has a stake in or was trying to get a stake in. And he's all about, well, at this point I'm going to tell you this. I will tell you this down the line. And that line comes, hours and hours later in the Audible, but it was well worth it. So I recommend you to check it out. Okay, so you might have seen the Tough Love Daily Motivation that says that success is small victory on top of small victory. And I think that's really, really underrepresented with how key and how important that actually is. Most people see someone who has had success and they think that success came in one fell swoop, just boom, snap of the fingers, and it happened. You see a musician who all of a sudden came on the scene and now they have, a number one and they have another number one, and everyone is like, oh, they came out of nowhere. And really they spent 5 years or 10 years or 20 years grinding away in small music communities and, putting out independent records. And no one listened. Now all of a sudden, they're an overnight success that took a decade. And that's, very similar to what, people see when someone has been successful in their career and their family or whatever it is, whatever success you have. They don't see all the hard work and all the effort and all the pain and suffering sometimes that you put in to get there. They see, hey, oh, you're doing really great. How do I get there? And it's not just one single step. Unless you're going to win the lottery, there's no one magic ticket. You need to have small victory on top of small victory. And there's going to be setbacks. There's going to be misses. There's going to be failures in between, and you have to continue to move forward. You have to stack those little victories on top of them. Before you know it, you're at a level that you never thought was possible. And I'll tell you what, that's how my life has been. Years of just stacking little victories, setback, little victory, step back, setback. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. 1 step forward, 3 steps back. And all of a sudden, you're near your destination. So keep that in mind. Small victory on top of small victory is what real success is about. So if you've seen any of my social media, or if you've seen any of my my videos or anything like that, you know that I like to read. It's something that I had, really allowed to go by the wayside I was kind of building my business, and it was a crucial mistake, and so I've been working on really correcting that mistake. So some of the other books, one of the Tough Love Daily Motivations was that if you haven't learned something today, you need to read a book. So if you've checked out any of my social media, watched any of these videos previously, or checked out the blog, that I like reading. I like learning things from books. I never really liked traditional classroom studying, homework assignments and crap like that, but I like to learn. I like to learn things from books and from people who are a hell of a lot smarter than I am, a hell of a lot more successful than I am or that I ever will be. And that's the power of a book. It's fucking amazing. Like, you have books by people who are insanely smart, who are problem solvers, who are business builders, who are whatever it is that you want to be, that's who they are. And they want to give you advice. Yeah, they're going to charge you 15 or 20 bucks for it, but the comparable value of it is insane. So take advantage, read a damn book, learn something. Please. As long as I can remember, I've had a pretty good work ethic. I've working hard, and whether it be building a business or whether it be doing manual labor. In the summers in college, I used to do construction. I would work with my uncle at a painting company. So I was out in the 115 degrees, painting exteriors of houses. I did all that stuff. Growing up, I did a lot of manual labor. I had a little handyman business that I think I've mentioned before. And I think that work ethic has really stemmed from my dad. It was something that begrudgingly instilled in us, and me especially, as being the oldest, is that hard work pays off, and that he wanted us to learn that we don't want to do manual labor as a necessity. He did that a lot of his younger life after getting out of the military and before becoming a police officer. And he realized that he didn't want to do that, and that having that choice was something he wanted for us. And so he wanted me to myself, my brother, my sister, to understand what it really means that if you don't get your education, if you don't value learning, and you don't create skill and create something, that what you're gonna end up doing. And he always referred to it as digging ditches, which, hey, it's a respectable career. I mean, we need people to dig ditches, just like we need people to do every other skill that people sometimes talk down about. And I will never talk down about someone who's out there working hard and putting food on the table. But it's not what everyone wants to do. It's not what most people want to do. And so he wanted us to have that option. And so he's instilled that in us. And one point that really stands out is one day he told us that, hey, we're going to build a fish pond in our backyard. He's like, we're going to have turtles, we're going to have fish, and we're going to have all these things. And we were like, wow, that's great. And he showed us the area of the ground that it was going to be. He's like, hey, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to have a waterfall. And we're like, oh, that's awesome. And he says, all right, now get a shovel. So we had to move the rock that was on the top layer, and then we started digging. And living in Arizona, if you've never dug in Arizona dirt, it's like frickin' cement. It is hard. It's rocks, and it's compact clay and dirt, and man, it's a pain in the ass. And I was a kid, probably like 5th, 6th grade, 7th grade maybe. And so for several months, weekend after weekend, we spent out there digging by hand, bucket after bucket, shovelful after shovelful. And we were getting an accomplishment. We were getting something done, and we're also learning a lesson that, man, I sure as hell don't want to have to do this as my job, so I better figure out how to do something else. And so months later, we finally had a finished pool. I learned how to pour some concrete. We made some half-assed molds to make the walls for the concrete. We painted the pond with sealer, and we ended up with a pond that was probably the size of a jacuzzi and a half. 2 jacuzzis, 3 feet deep, 4 feet deep at the lowest point, 8 feet across at some points. Like, it was insane. It was huge. So at one point we had 100 goldfish, koi, turtles, and then we had a awesome waterfall. So we had the end result of our labor, and we also had that as a reminder of what we can accomplish, as well as a reminder of all the hard work it takes if if you want to do things the hard way and not the smart way, as he used to say. So to me, that's something that's kind of stuck out with me. I want to find a way to instill that in my son and my kids, that hard work, maybe without so much of the grinding part of it, but still the hard work and, the independence and the feeling of accomplishment. So I hope that, hope that's kind of entertaining. And I wish I had some pictures of that fish pond, but maybe when my son is a little older, maybe that'll be a project that we'll entertain, is digging a fish pond. All right, thank you for checking out Full of Bull episode number 7. Episode number 6 will be posted very soon because this one was very late. Thank you.